Hey folks, how's it going? It's Paul from Craft Words with the latest video in our Ask Me Anything series. The question today comes from Pete Stephen. Pete, you asked, is there a perfect background that we look for when hiring a writer? That's a really good question. And I'm going to fixate a tiny bit on that word perfect, because in some ways I think the perfect background for a copywriter or a creative of any kind is actually kind of imperfection, and that might sound a bit cheesy. And what I mean by that is I'm interested in writers who have maybe had a bit of a circuitous route to being a copywriter. Now, I have to pause for a sec and say I probably bring some of my own bias to that, because definitely I've had a slightly atypical route to being a copywriter. You know, I didn't go to ad school. I didn't sort of work my way through that path. There's nothing wrong with that path, that just wasn't the way I did it. And so I'm kind of a bit more interested in people who have done other things, particularly people who have done sort of, you know, slightly unusual, unexpected, esoteric things, because if everybody has sort of followed that same sort of path, everybody that you're working with, I mean, then, you know, it can be a bit like an echo chamber. It could, you know, you can get a lot of the same kind of thinking. And really good creativity comes from different models of thinking, from kind of outside sources, almost alien DNA, stuff that's come in from other industries. One of my writers, Tom, I'm really sorry, I'm going to get this wrong, but Tom did a degree in, I know it wasn't zoology, Tom, but it was sort of in that world, and I always get it wrong, I'm sorry. But when I was first interviewing Tom, that was really interesting to me, that, you know, he'd had this very different kind of experience academically. He worked as a Thatcher, I believe. That one I'm pretty sure I got right, Tom. And just these different experiences kind of, you know, all feed into that. There's a really good quote from Steve Jobs, one of many, of course. And he said, it's along the lines of creativity is all about connecting dots. And the more dots you have, the more creative you can be. And it is that idea that just, I think, doing different things, you know, outside of going to ad school, outside of all that sort of stuff, doing different things, having different careers, looking at things from a different perspective, being exposed to different things, all that stuff just makes the creativity richer. And so when you're writing, you're pulling from all those sources, and it just is a bit more of an interesting background. So I guess that's the main thing I would look for when working with a writer. You do, of course, have to have the experience, or at least be able to show me that, you know, that you have an ability to write, that you have an interest in writing. To some extent, you know, being able to show that you can navigate through an agency, you can deal with ambiguity, you can deal with, you know, things changing, things happening at a fast pace, which of course happen in agency life. But you can show those in other ways as well. There are other industries that have those sorts of things. I worked in restaurants for years, and it always amazes me how much of working in a restaurant you can translate to other roles, because there's so much in there about kind of time management, prioritization, all those sorts of things, communication, that do translate. So yeah, I guess the short answer to that rather long video is just that I'm interested in people who have got different and varied backgrounds. That for me is kind of interesting. Okay, I hope that helped. And thank you very much, everyone, for continuing to send questions. Add more down below, please, and we'll see what happens next time. All right, take care. Bye-bye.